All right, well, I see it's 11 o'clock and I see that our attendees are coming into the Zoom room. So why don't we get started this morning? Good morning, everybody. I'm Jeff Becker. I'm your CAST chair, and I want to thank you for joining us for today's monthly virtual membership meeting. We're a little bit out of cycle. We're right in that sweet spot between holidays. So we're accommodating the SAB schedule as well. So thank you for taking time to be with us a little bit out of the normal sequence of meetings. So first time attendees out there, I'd like to issue a special welcome to you. And if you'd like, please feel free to introduce yourselves using the chat box. We'd love to see who's out here for the first time and recognize you. And for everyone else, please be aware that you are muted right now, but you can certainly use that chat box for questions and comments. Please make sure that you're messaging all panelists and attendees by using that little drop-down caret there. And of course, as a user reminder, please refrain from any marketing in that chat box. If you could take us to the next slide, please. So CASH has a new membership portal. We've been sharing this for a little while now, but we'd really love for our membership to take advantage of this. And you can manage your profile here. In your profile, you can access event handouts, manage your membership status, and connect with other members directly. So please take a moment to check that out. It is a useful tool. And if you do need assistance in setting that up, please email Aileen. You see her email on the bottom of the slide there, and she can help you get that set up if you're having any issues. So with that, let's jump right into our updates from our state agencies. And our first update is going to be from the state architect, Ida Clare. Ida, thank you very much for being with us. It's always good to have you here. And I'll let you update us on the happenings at DSA.
Thank you, Jeff. I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully I can do this effectively. Okay. Whoops, it says it's disabled.
Let's see if we can get that sharing ability to you real fast. Bear with us just a moment.
Sure. It still says host has disabled screen sharing.
Yeah, so Courtney's going to set you up as a
Sorry,
co-host.
1 minute.
So Ida, while Courtney's setting you up, I just wanted to thank you again for participating in our web shop on the solar issues as we're wrestling with that. That was a great conversation, lots of issues for us to.
There is a lot of issues to discuss, and I'll be addressing that today. And I really, if it's okay, I can just speak to, I don't need to speak to the slide. Oh, try it now, she said.
You're set up as co-host now, so you should be able to share.
Okay.
There we go.
Yes. Hold on. Now I need to move this so I can start. There we go. So I can start my slideshow. Okay. So a little bit about DSA and giving you your monthly update. Again, we have, for those of you who don't know, we do have a new headquarters principal architect, Eric Drever. And he has been on the job now about 6 weeks. Yeah, about 6 weeks, diving right in, catching up on all things DSA, especially rulemaking, which is what we're thick in now and trying to complete. We do also have new supervisors in the Sacramento office with Stephen Ito in field services, Dan Deloach in field fire and life safety, and Eric Edgman in project services. All the other regional offices do not have any leadership change at this time. Current month's projects and plan review. We have a very, very, very busy November. October was similar, except that then there were a lot of projects, I believe, that were rescheduled in November because while we began, while we began November over the $1 billion range in planned submittals, only about 750 million actually came in. So we believe that many of those projects were pushed to December, where you can see that it's quite busy here at DSA, with Oakland having the largest share of projects submitted. January, we've only filled about half the month, and it's about 500 million. So it'll be interesting to see how much January affects us in terms of workload, project submittals that are intended to be submitted. But you can see December is quite busy, and generally December is busy historically. Energy Code approved regulations. These go to the adoption meeting at Building Standards in December. That meeting is scheduled for December 14th through 16th, so next week. This is a final opportunity to address the improved building standards from the Energy Commission, which call for a systematic change in the prescriptive and performance methods based on electrification, basically heat pump technology for water heating and HVAC systems. It does also require photovoltaics and battery storage. At the CASH seminar that I presented last week, I gave a little more clarity on when those are required and when they are accepted. And so DSA will be looking to address new IRs this coming year in anticipation of the 2022 Energy Code approved regulations, and provide greater clarity and guidance regarding the photovoltaics and battery storage and needed requirements when those are implemented into your projects. But your last opportunity to comment on these building standards is December 14 to 16, because this is the meeting where BSC looks at adopting those standards. The Energy Commission has already adopted them. It is likely that there may not be a significant change, but BSC needs to ensure that the public process has occurred. And so part of that public process is this adoption meeting next week. Cal Green rulemaking is also next week. And so if you want to address any requirements on electric vehicle charging infrastructure, we also have requirements on CO2 monitors for new classrooms. Sorry, that's not on the list. I amended this for the energy presentation, and I did not correct it back to address all our rulemaking for Cal Green, which will include CO2 monitors for new classrooms. But again, this is the last opportunity to comment on DSA's provisions for public schools and community colleges. The link is provided here. Again, the requirement is for 20% of parking spaces at new parking areas and additions to parking areas, and obviously new parking structures, to have electric vehicle charging infrastructure or EV capable spaces. So of those 20% EV capable spaces, 25% will need a charger installed. So charging is coming to the 2022 regulations in Cal Green, and those requirements would be effective January 1st, 2023, if approved. Our accessibility rulemaking is not until January. Mark your dates. It's January 18th to the 20th. They're not a lot of significant new requirements. Really, it's just more clarity issues. And again, structural safety rulemaking is in January as well, 18 to 20, addressing also just clarity requirements specifically, not any significant changes, but we do still encourage you to participate in the process and be aware of what's coming, and also have the ability to comment whether in support or against as part of the rulemaking process. Again, fire code is also proceeding to the adoption meeting in January. So there are two meetings, one in December, one in January. They do take about 3 days each, because it's not only obviously DSA and building standards that present, as there are other state agencies that have rulemaking packages, but we do encourage you to look at the agenda so that you can participate. A little bit about AB 306, employing faculty housing. Again, this is just a reminder that these projects go for employee and faculty, go to the local jurisdiction for review. You do have the option to submit to DSA if you prefer. And again, DSA may provide oversight just to ensure those projects when they're on a school campus do not conflict with accessibility and life safety requirements. I will call to mind our Guide to Public Housing. It will be a valuable resource to ensure access compliance is provided in your employee and faculty housings, including single family, which this manual addresses because it is still housing at a public place of education and public housing, which under the ADA has different standards than normal single family homes that would not be, that are just private single family homes. Again, acceptance testing is well underway. This is the note that you will find on the cover sheet of your drawings. We do hope that as we move forward, that you will start incorporating this information in the drawings on your own and alerting the contractors to third-party compliance acceptance testing. And a little bit of a reminder that the process is handled by the project inspector. No forms or processes will be changed for project closeout on DSA's end. They will need to correct them. We are training our project inspectors to collect them and ensure acceptance testing is provided. But lack of testing and forms will not hold up certification. It does need to happen to complete the process, but it is not. It will not hold up certification. Understanding that a new way to back check is coming in first quarter 2022, we're prepping everyone to be aware for those notices when they come. So it won't be a surprise. Some of you may be already in a pilot program for the new two-phase back check. Again, this is to really address our new method of back check, which is virtually. For most back checks, obviously, once we do open our offices again, they are still closed. And once we do open our offices again, you will have the option of coming in if you want to have your back check performed. But while we anticipate virtual back check will be with us, even after we open our offices, we did want to address timeliness of the back check process. And so we are addressing new concerns with that project in this two-phase back check. So more to come on that. Our EB task force will begin in January. I did just get a list of names of those who are interested. We have not yet made the selections. You still have an opportunity to provide your name to us if you're interested in participating in the task force to address our modernization of existing buildings issue and the specific requirement of the 50% valuation threshold, which triggers a full seismic upgrade. A little bit about the task force. We will have 2 to 4 meetings over the first 6 months of the year. Our process is to ask questions, solicit information and ideas from our stakeholders, synthesize that information, go back to the task force, and as that progresses at the end of the 6 months, we hope to have a regulatory structure or framework with which to proceed in writing our regulations and going through the full rulemaking process. And so this is the schedule. Again, we're targeting the first 6 months for the task force. And of course, our pre-cycle work as typical begins, culminating in a new building standard or a new administrative code standard in July of 2024, in September of 2020, in August of 2023, which would be effective 30 days later in September of 2023. So hopefully we can arrive at a mutually beneficial regulation that addresses sustainability, resiliency, use of our existing buildings, but also structural safety, which is of utmost importance. So more to come on that. If you are interested in participating in our EB task force, our existing buildings task force, you still have the opportunity to submit your indication of interest via an email to me. And then once we come back after the first of the year, we're almost done with our hiring and the structural safety division in headquarters, and they will undertake this process beginning in the new year. And again, just to let you know, our learning management system is live. We do have the All Electric California Schools Kitchen of the Future webinar available for free on demand that you can watch and inform yourselves about. all electric California school kitchens. It's quite informative. And if you are anticipating an improvement project or even just the replacement of individual equipment, I really do encourage you to watch the webinar. And again, I know I'm delayed in this accessibility video. I have a couple slides that I need to re-record, and I need to be focused to do that. So I'm anticipating hopefully getting to that this week. And then that will be up on our LMS soon as well. The new year will bring more sustainability, education, and outreach. We are working on some grant proposals now from some state agencies that do offer grants in addressing sustainability and providing those resources to you. So more to come on that. We're really trying to get through our regulatory process, which, as you note, as I stated, culminates in January. And again, for more information, subscribe to our listserv. You can find that information on our webpage, all the way at the bottom of the cover of the landing page of our website. Are there any questions?
Hey, Ida. I appreciate the EB task force, the existing building task force. I just wanted to check in with you to see how it's going with the current EB4 that we're operating under while that work takes place. Is that going smoothly now?
We haven't received any comments right now. It seems to be proceeding as it did before. We are seeing many more projects. The cost estimating RFP that we are going to that we have issued that assists DSA is in establishing a new number for cost per square foot. Once we receive that, we will, EB4 will be modified, but that RFP is still at our DGS division going through the final approvals. We hope that that will be out either by the end of this month or early in January. And we will then inform you of the process on the selection of the cost estimator that will assist us in both establishing a per square foot cost for the interim, but also in establishing templates that will be easier to submit that cost comparison, and also assisting us in our EB task force process.
All right, thank you. I'm not seeing any questions in the chat box. And you did comment on sustainability, which I know is something that's important to you. It's important to all of us, obviously, as people here in California. One of the things that's important to CASH is that we make sure that districts can meet those sustainability requirements, and a lot of that comes on the funding side of projects. Mm-hmm. And so I just want to put out there that we are always out there to help you try and identify those issues so that we can work through them to meet those requirements while helping districts keep their focus on educating students. Exactly.
And I know that we are meeting with stakeholder partners to decarbonize CalGreen. And Jeff, I may want to bring you or somebody at CASH into that conversation as well, so you can see the process of what's coming. But it is in conjunction with the AIA and building standards to establish a framework for rulemaking for the next, essentially till CalGreen's decarbonized in an incremental fashion, and how that's appropriate. Perhaps having that foresight as we establish that roadmap might assist CASH in addressing those cost concerns as well on your behalf and through the mechanisms that you have available.
Yeah, we would be happy to help out in that way, Ida. Just reach out and let us know as details come up.
Okay, sure.
All right, Alan, I see you popped up there.
Yes, thank you, Jeff. Yes.
And did you have a question for Ida?
Oh, no. Thank you. I just, the conversation of some of the work that we're doing with our movement towards the net zero energy, we do want to partner very closely with DSA to really try to look at and analyze closely all of those impacts that are happening to schools as we attempt to move towards that goal. So just throwing my my offer to help and be involved in that out there as well, and our support of that the green goal that we have in our state moving forward. But that was, thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Again, as we have a vision of what's coming, we also hope to provide that education and outreach to also prepare all of you with those resources and what's coming. And we are looking as well to get additional support in establishing those sustainability plans so that that transition and that implementation of any decarbonization goals is handled from a bigger picture perspective so that it's a little bit more manageable. So more to come in 2022.
Absolutely. Great.
Right.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks, Alan.
Thank
Thank you
you.
again, Ida, for being with us. And
Absolutely.
all right, well, let's move on to our update from the Office of Public School Construction. We've got Michael Watanabe here with us to give us an OPSC update. Good to see you, Michael. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. All right. Just light board updates today, but then a lot of other stuff to update you on as well. Tonight's board meeting is at 2 p.m. via Zoom. We are switching to a webinar format for the board meetings just to have a little more control of the meeting. If you were in attendance last month, you'll know Assemblymember Chad Mays joined us on the board, and Senator John Laird. Senator Laird couldn't make it last month, but we do expect him to be at tonight's meeting. And Lisa's EO statement, she does a quick mention of the regs we did in September for accelerating the processing of the $250 million that we received from the general fund. We submitted the reg package to the Office of Administrative Law, and they asked that we make a few edits to the regs. It's just one sentence to clarify when these regs kicked in to effect. Some clarity for people reading from the outside world, when would we use these regs? They didn't like too much open-endedness. So we expect those to be approved, and then the regs will be made permanent after that approval. Thank you to everyone who participated in our facility inspection tool meeting on November 30th. That webcast should be available on our website now. We are seeking feedback through this Sunday for inclusion in a potential January item. We're looking to hold the next FIT stakeholder meeting on January 20th, also at 4 p.m. like last time. So we'll do an email blast once that one's scheduled. A reminder that everyone that's receiving a consent approval for their projects at tonight's board meeting, you have until end of day on December 9th to participate in the priority funding process. Otherwise, you would receive a non-participation occurrence. That's to receive cash through the spring 2022 bond sale. So again, keep an eye on tonight's, to this afternoon's meeting. As soon as the item's approved, we'll accept those priority funding requests. And then lastly, we had anticipated taking the reg amendments for the full day kindergarten to the December board. We've pushed that off to January for the moment. We are working on updates to OPSC Online to move the entire full day kindergarten process to be available to submit, track projects, do all of our accounting work in OPSC Online electronically. When we got the first 100 million, we did not know how long the program would last. So we tracked the entire program through Excel spreadsheets, accounting, audits, front end, everything. So given that the program is going to continue, we thought it'd be prudent now to move everything into the system, including the old data as well. So we're working on that, but we won't have that ready right away. And we're trying to get that live by April 1st. So we'll push off the regs just a month for that purpose. And that's really the meat of the board meeting. A few other updates from OPSC in general. DGS is switching all of our desk phone numbers from, we have currently physical landlines, and we're switching to soft phones throughout the entire department for the most part. And these allow us to make phone calls from our computers. They're called soft phones from everywhere, which means every phone number that OPSC has is changing. We'll send out an email blast hopefully later this week. We have already updated our directory of services on our website with our new phone numbers. And we're working on updating the website throughout all our contact information with the new soft phone numbers as well. One of the weird things that you'll see is the area code is 279 for all those soft phone numbers. We have noticed a trend right now that you might, the first time you get called from us, it might show up as a spam risk phone number from us. So we're working with the provider on that, but just be aware if you see a 279 area code, it's probably a DGS soft phone number that we're switching to.
Michael, will there be some overlap in those phone numbers for a
yes.
period of time?
Yeah, so we have we'll have about a 6 to 8 week overlap of the old numbers. All OPSC staff were instructed last week when we got them to change their voicemail right away to give everyone a heads up and to turn off call forwarding to let them know that, hey, here's our new numbers going forward. But we'll make the entire list available to everybody as well, so everyone has our new numbers as well in one document. So the Director of Services it hasn't had it before, but we're going to add another page to it with the entire OPSC phone and email list on it all in one shot. So, and we update that every month, so it's relatively current. So we'll have that up hopefully the next week as well.
Thanks, Michael.
Yeah. Another change that DGS made well, I guess is closer to the end of October. DGS as a whole switched email providers for mass email blasts, and that's using the Gov delivery system. So the entire DGS is now on Gov delivery. Using one email address, you can subscribe to every office within DGS. So DSA, OPSC, we're all under the same subscription email list service now. So if you're on our old system, we've already imported your old email addresses and you should have been receiving our email blast through that system. If not, just go on to our OPSC website to the contacts page and you can subscribe to the new page as well. So we have that going on. And then a few upcoming things. Tomorrow morning, we are doing our redo of the substantial progress and expenditure reporting in OPSC Online. That's at 9:30 a.m. via Zoom. The link information is on our website and it's also available on Eventbrite as well. Coming up this Friday at 1 p.m., we have a short informational session on the new Regional K-16 Education Collaboratives program. In a couple of days, the request for proposals to hire a third-party administrator to help OPSC administrate that program will close. And then we'll work with them to set up a series of stakeholder meetings, we believe, in January. So the webinar on Friday is expect to be brief, about 30 minutes or so, and just kind of provide a high level to highlight the program. That one also is available via Eventbrite and on our website as well for the link information.
And Michael, could you maybe go into a bit more of what that program is? I noticed that when I saw it, it seemed like maybe it was a little bit outside of the norm for OPSC. Maybe give us the highlights of what that program does and OPSC's involvement.
So the program, DGS was charged with administrating this program as part of the current year budget, and it provided $250 million to create this new regional education collaboratives program. The idea to create pathways for students going from the elementary school level all the way up through college level. And it's designed to integrate with the CD's mission to do the Cradle to Career program together. There was a study done last year, I believe. Well, it overlapped several years on creating pathways and some ways to get there. So this program is designed to, well, we're working on how the mechanics would work, but the statute does require certain requirements and milestones. By June of 2024, they got half the milestones, and by June of 2026, I believe, is the other half the milestones they're trying to meet. But it's creating these pathways to college. So the program, we think, we're going to most likely be receiving proposals from collaboratives throughout the state that want to create programs to do this. We would administer grant funding over time over the course of the next, as soon as May, cash going out the door, and then in progress payments over the next 4 years as school districts or these collaboratives meets these milestones. So it won't be necessarily limited to school districts to apply this program, but there would be a proposal process where you apply for the grants. We would review these proposals with the third-party administrator and then award these grants somewhere around May is our guess. It is strictly a DGS OPSC administered program, so there won't be any state allocation board involvement, which also means no regulations. A lot of the OL process that we work with right now, it's a lot more policy based. So when we do those stakeholder meetings in January, we'll definitely seek everybody's feedback for administration of the program, what people envision, what they hope to see to help administer it. We're used to K-12 facilities. This program will go higher all the way. It's a K-16 collaborative. So we're looking for third-party administrators with experience in the higher ed realm too, as well, to help us administer this program, provide feedback. And so we'll definitely seek all your guys' feedback too, as well, on ways to administer the program. But hopefully the idea is to run it kind of efficiently as we do our current programs as well for the SFP. We have created a web page dedicated strictly to K-16 on our website, so you can get there under the services page. And there's also a separate email list just for this program as well. So go ahead and subscribe to those. That way you can get notified when we have these stakeholder meetings as well.
All right, any other OPSC items, Michael?
I think that's it. Our next board meeting is January 26th at 4 p.m. OPSC, we will be open over the holidays. So if you have trouble meeting deadlines due to school districts being shut down for the holidays, just stay in touch with your project manager and auditors and give them a heads up and coordinate those with us if you need extensions. But other than that, that's it for today.
All right, we appreciate your time with us this morning, Michael. Thanks again for the update.
Thank you.
All right, let's move to the next slide, please. And we've got our cash legislative and regulatory update as well as maintenance network. We've got Rebecca Curley and Ian Padilla. And I think, Rebecca, you're going to start us off.
Yes, thank you, Jeff. Happy December, everybody. We are getting ready for January. So the legislature reconvenes on January 3rd. And I will say right now that swing space is the talk of the town. What does that mean? Well, there are big changes coming to this beautiful image of the Capitol that you see here up on the screen. The office building that is used by most of the staff and also hosts most of the hearings in the Capitol is going to be demolished and rebuilt over the next 5 years. And so our legislators and their staff are in the process of moving out of that building and into an office building about a block south of the Capitol. Why am I spending all this time telling you about this? Well, we talked about this at the CASH fall conference, where we spoke about how the pandemic has sort of disrupted and modified and altered the way that policy and bills are actually being done. This is another one of those issues. So I think that the disruption will continue. There are not a lot of spaces, for example, for meetings to take place. So there's going to be a lot of sort of just change in the culture and how we do the work and the advocacy and how we involve you all in communicating with our legislators and their staff in the next couple of years. So that has started. And if you talk to any staffer who works for the legislature right now, that's the first thing they'll tell you about is how their life is being affected by this. We are also preparing for the governor to release his budget proposal for fiscal year 22-23. That release will be by January 10th. And in anticipation of that, the Legislative Analyst's Office did just release a fiscal outlook, giving their best guess as to what we're going to see as far as revenues and the health of the economy and the state budget in the year to come. That report had a lot of really good news. So the LAO is estimating a $31 billion general fund surplus, and that is outside of Prop 98. So that's just general fund money that is available for new spending. The biggest issue that LAO sees in the next year is the state appropriations limit, AKA the GAN limit, that fun, wonky thing that we've been talking about for the last year. And the reason that we've been talking about it is because it provides tremendous opportunity for those of us who are doing work on school facilities issues here in California. LAO is estimating that the state needs to spend or allocate about $14 billion based on the last couple of fiscal years to help make corrections or adjustments to this SAL. And then there could be an additional $12 billion in 22-23 as well. And those can be used for a couple of different purposes. There's some spending that can help. So that would be on things like capital outlay or emergency spending. Also rebates to taxpayers or additional payments to schools and taxpayers. So there's a couple of different ways that the legislature and the administration can handle this issue. But basically, spending on capital outlay will help reduce appropriations for the purpose of this spending limit, and therefore provide a little bit of extra room and help mitigate this issue. So we think the time is right to be talking about school facilities and the state's commitment to school facilities. Related to the Proposition 98 minimum guarantee, so this is that formula funding for schools on the operational side, the LAO is expecting about $20 billion for K-14 in new funding in the next budget cycle. That's made up of about $9.5 billion for 22-23 above last year's budget. And those are dollars that would be available for new ongoing commitments. And then another $10.2 billion in funding from increases in the prior 2 fiscal years. Those are settle up dollars. That would be one-time money. LAO is saying, be smart, don't use it all on ongoing commitments, because when, what goes up must come down. We're not always going to have all of these revenues, but it was a very positive picture on the revenue front that LAO is anticipating. And that Prop 98 minimum guarantee number would be up at 105.3 billion for 22-23. So for us at CASH, one of the things that we're thinking about is we have the transitional kindergarten program, the expanded grade level, where we're expecting about 250,000 new students through 25-26 when the program is fully implemented. So we've just made a request to the legislature and the administration to help us fund facilities for those TK kiddos. We're asking for $2 billion general fund appropriation, so not Proposition 98, to assist us with all of the facilities that we need to educate those kids in a developmentally appropriate environment. So stay tuned. We'll continue to talk to you about the budget picture, what happens on January 10th when the governor comes out with his proposal. Does he agree with the LAO and what they see on the revenue side and the anticipated surplus? What's his number? Is it a little bit more conservative? Is it not? So stay tuned for more information on that, and as well as on the efforts that CASH is making to work on facilities funding for TK and other purposes. So just to switch gears a little bit, I did want to do a wrap up on 2 items that are policy bills and are actually sunset extensions. So we've had some questions about these, and I just want to make sure that our members are aware. The first is related to a leaseback. AB 486 was an education omnibus bill. So this is a policy bill, and typically those bills are meant for things that are non-controversial. Everybody on both sides of the aisle says, yeah, that's a technical item. We're good with that update to the code. Let's move along. Well, this year, because of the pandemic and the reduced capacity to carry bills forward through the legislative process, there were some bigger policy issues that were handled in that omnibus bill. And one of them is related to the existing statutory authorization for K-12 leaseback projects. Now, a couple years ago in 2015, we had a bill that created a competitive selection process based on a best value methodology in response to conflict of interest concerns that were raised by Davis versus Fresno case. That bill was signed in 2015, and it creates a competitive selection process, talks about evaluation criteria and other things, as well as disgorgement. Those provisions just related to that competitive selection process were set to sunset as of July 1st of next year, so 2022. I just want you to know that that sunset was extended another 5 years until July 1st of 2027. And that was the change that was made to that section of the statute. So sunset extended, continue operating using the process that you're using today. And that was chaptered, signed into law with that omnibus bill. The second that I want to mention is AB 846. That was by Assemblymember Lowe, related to job order contracting. This is a bill that was sponsored by Building Trades. Again, it's a sunset extension. The authorization to use JOC was set to expire January 1st of 2022. It's been extended another 5 years to January 1st, 2027. And there are some additions related to skilled and trained workforce requirements that got added to the job order contracting authorization. So I know that this isn't widely used by school districts, but there are some districts and some pretty large districts that do use job order contracting. So if you're interested, or if you do, just know that that authorization was extended in a bill that was signed by the governor. So with that, I'll just check to see if there's any questions. Doesn't look like there's any questions coming in on the chat. Yeah. Anything from our panelists? Okay, so I'll hand it over to Ian to provide the rest of the update. And it's great to see everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca, very much. As usual, very good presentation. So I'm going to concentrate on two things. As usual, I'm going to focus on the cash maintenance network update. And we have a lot going on here. So I wanted to focus on a couple of pieces there. And then right after that, I'll give the School Energy Coalition update for Nancy, who couldn't be here today. So you heard Mr. Watanabe with OPSC refer to a Zoom hearing they had focused on updating the FIT document. And so, of course, the Cash Maintenance Network has a lot of interest in this area. We formed a committee to focus on it, and a lot of our members during the committee had a lot of input, of course, representing the practitioner's perspective. Generally speaking, just for a reminder, context, the facility inspection tool, the FIT, it was part of the Williams lawsuit, and it's kind of the basic structure of the Williams lawsuit, including the county office inspections and the good repair standards. So those three things are kind of the Williams legacy, and those were included in the LCAP. So they are continue to be relevant today, and so that's kind of the territory we're talking about. Specifically, the good repair standard and the FIT tool as a way to get there as an actual tool that inspects 15 different building systems, is very focused and practical, has been an excellent document, even with some of its flaws and limitations. And so the Cash Maintenance Network is interested in this process in maybe modernizing the FIT, including new things that will make it more accurate and efficient. But we do want to make sure that it doesn't become something that is not intended. And so as we begin this discussion and give our input to the OPSC, that's kind of where we're beginning from. So in that process, our FIT update committee, the CMN one, is actually meeting tomorrow to now that the hearing has happened, to discuss some of the implications of that, where we are on that with our own priorities, and then of course submit our comments by the 12th, by Sunday, to give our perspective and again offer our resources in this process. So I think that's where it is for now, but watch this space. Also, the Cash Maintenance Network has a workshop, a web shop scheduled for next Thursday, the December 16th. And we are going to continue this discussion, probably in a pretty informed manner. Folks that participate in that tend to be pretty informed and interested in this area. And so we're going to have we think, a substantive discussion on that, and we think it's good timing. Also, just a quick pitch. I've also invited folks from Cal Recycle Out to talk about the requirements and implications for schools of SB 1383. And that's the requirement for recycling all organic waste. So a lot of interest in that, implications for school facility departments. So looking forward to that discussion. So if you're interested in that, definitely look us up on that. That's enough right now for the Cash Maintenance Network. I'm going to switch over to the School Energy Coalition. There is kind of some natural transition here because of a lot of the issues are common, and I'm speaking particularly with a lot of the issues that the state architect, I declare, mentioned today. The triennial code adoption process that's happening the end of or the middle of next week, the Cal Green, a lot of important regulatory hearings are happening in December related to the state's priorities for electrification, and there's a lot of implications for schools. So School Energy Coalition is involved in a lot of those, and will be reporting out on that. I will be covering some of it. Nancy will be covering some. And of course, in my other hat, I'll be representing cash as well. This is a universal concern, I think, and I think that's becoming pretty apparent. The other specific thing, and it's a big thing, and it relates to this issue for the School Energy Coalition, is the Public Utility Commission's hearing also next week related to net energy metering 3.0. It's expected to be discussed and then likely approved at their January meeting. It definitely has implications for schools. Basically, net energy metering is it goes to how viable projects are for solar and battery storage and indoor air quality upgrades. Those types of things. If what type of reimbursement you get for that. Basically, we're operating currently on NEM 2.0. The proposal for 3.0 schools essentially lose out to some extent, to a large extent in some areas. And so the School Energy Coalition, one of their biggest priorities is advocating for retaining NEM 2.0. So, and it's not just the School Energy Coalition. There are others, of course, in the solar industry and other school organizations, certainly CASH, others involved in this coalition. But again, it's an important piece because it goes to, Mr. Becker mentioned the CASH's support for all these efforts, but the reality that our folks face in funding it. And this NEM 3.0 development goes to that. That is, be more difficult if this is approved as is. So School Energy Coalition has made that a high priority in our advocacy. So with that, if there's no questions, I'll turn it over to Mr. Becker.
All right, thanks a lot, Ian, and thanks for all your work in the maintenance network. And yeah, a lot of things coming up pretty quickly in that arena. So thank you again for that. All right, next up, we have Mr. Dave Walrath with a Californians for School Facilities update. Dave, welcome.
Thank you, Jeff. A quick update for school funding from the federal government on operational purposes, Title I, special education, teacher training, etc. We're still under a continuing resolution that was extended until mid-February. The normal appropriation bills are not making it through the process yet. They require 60 votes in the Senate, and that is not happening right now. Consequently, continuing resolution, which means the funding is on last year's level. So the proposed funding increases for Title I, special education, are not happening and will not happen until there is a true appropriations bill enacted. On the infrastructure bill that went through and was signed by the president, expect that there will start to be Federal Register information about how people can apply for some of the funds, but do not expect those regulations out to be for at least 4, if not 6 months. So bill is in law, but it will be a while before there'll be the opportunity to start applying for some of the provisions that were in that bill. Lead removal, charging stations, etc. Then on Build Back Better, that's still waiting to see if there's 50 Senate votes for it, or more than 50. But quite frankly, right now, all the oxygen in Washington is on debt ceiling. If they cannot pass an extension of the debt ceiling or some action, the federal government will have to renege on some of its expenditure commitments. I mean, default on payments. This is not good. Consequently, nobody wants this to happen. It's a political fight on who should be blamed for the national debt. That is looking like it may be resolved by the 15th. Well, 15th appears to be the drop dead date, but that is taking up most of the time right now. There's a hope that Build Back Better will be able to be brought up after that. But right now, I would suggest that people should start thinking about this for 2022 rather than the end of 2021. That's a quick update. If there are any questions, I'd be more than pleased to answer them. I do not see any in the chat, so I'll turn it back to Jeff.
All right, thank you very much, Dave, for your work there. And while we were hoping we were going to get some more federal money, maybe we'll keep at that and go for next time. So if you could take us to the next slide. I don't know if anyone's looked at your calendar, but the annual conference is almost upon us. So I see Alan's joined me on the screen here. Alan, why don't you give us an update on the conference?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Jeff. So for everyone that doesn't know, we are moving towards the finish line for the 43rd annual conference on school facilities. That'll be held Wednesday, February the 23rd through Friday, February the 25th at the newly remodeled Safe Credit Union Convention Center in Sacramento. Information is available on our CASH website on how to register for the event, register for the golf tournament, to get information on local accommodations with the hotels. If you'd like to become an exhibitor or sponsor, all of that information is available for you on our CASH website. Go there and take a look at that. For the actual conference itself, we have a full line of concurrent workshops. Really, there'll be something for everybody in our industry. We are currently working to finalize arrangements with our keynote speaker. We're talking with Assemblymember O'Donnell, who will be coming in to talk with us and give us an update on activities in Sacramento, including discussions on the 2022 school bond. In addition to that, we also have on track representatives from the California School Facilities Research Institute. Some of our head researchers from the University of Oregon are going to talk to us about the first project detailing the connections between quality school facilities and student performance. So that'll be an engaging conversation as we dig into that research. So look forward to seeing everyone in February at the fall conference. Again, February the 23rd through Friday, February the 25th. It'll be a great time.
All right, thanks, Alan, and great work on getting that conference organized. And again, looking forward to seeing everyone in February in Sacramento. All right, let's move on to our next presenter. We're joined by Sherry Gruber. Sherry is with the Kern County Superintendent of Schools office, and she's going to share with us a bit of her experience in moving through the COVID-19 pandemic and what's going on with the county office there and school districts in Kern County. So Sherry, thank you very much for being with us. I see you joining me on the screen there. I'll turn it over to you.
Great, thank you, Jeff. I really think that a lot of what I'm going to share today is similar to what many others are experiencing. As a county office, we do serve our own students, and we provide support and services to our school districts. So I'll be sharing information related to our county office and our districts. Some of the challenges that we've been facing, first of all, are staff shortages. So in our M&O division, we've had had issues with our maintenance crews as well as custodial crews. Within our transportation, there's a nationwide driver shortage that is affecting our county office as well as our districts. And we found that, our dispatchers, some of our supervisors, and even instructors that are certified drivers are having to step up and help and assist. Typically, we do have districts that reach out to us if they need assistance with help, and they sometimes will ask to utilize our sub lists. We have found that we simply could not help right now because we needed those subs for ourselves. We've seen that we've also had a limited supply of substitutes, as I mentioned, and this does affect M&O, custodians, and even our teachers and our aides. Many of our programs are trying to get permanent sub lists and really are struggling to do so. We're on the kind of site level, and to touch on a couple of our programs, I just want to talk a little bit about our special education program. The beginning of the school year, our attendance was down. Oops, excuse me real quick. And although attendance is much better right now, again, we are shorthanded, and we are seeing increases in staff absences, unfortunately, on that side of it, as well as aides. So permanent staff is having to jump in and help where needed. Health and safety are always a top priority for us. All of our cleaning protocols are aligned with the updated CDPH guidance. And separately, in regards to technology, I thought it might be interesting to share that COVID has really brought an increased level of awareness to the importance of schools having secure networks. And we're seeing locally an increase in cyber attacks. So currently, our county office, it's very early on, we're starting a pilot program to review and make sure district networks are secure and safe for staff and students. And I reached out to our school's legal service because I really wanted to be able to share, what is one of the biggest issues or topics of conversation regarding COVID and our districts. And really what was shared with me is this kind of continued evolution of the California Department of Public Health school guidance. And their latest update did come out in November. And these updates addressed school-based extracurricular activities. So the latest updates provided clarity around masking requirements during indoor sporting events. And this change really allows testing as an alternative to masking for athletes. But what we found is a lot of our districts had a lot of questions around this. And they really didn't realize that the provisions of the CDPH schools guidance do apply to outside groups that want to use school facilities for any reason. So all extracurricular activities, both during and after school hours, are subject to this guidance. The other thing that we're finding out locally or that we're experiencing is that our local school boards have been confronted with a lot of concerned parents following Governor Newsom's announced proposed vaccine mandate for students, and that is proposed. Some are sending letters or they're even looking to pass board resolutions to let the state know the position of their district. Jumping back to kind of our county office and on the facility side, construction projects, we do continue to see supply chain and material delays. I've seen a lot with, HVAC, we're looking at months out, roofing, technology and equipment, and even furniture delays. And so the issues do continue with manpower and getting contractors on board. So really the pandemic, just kind of to wrap it up, has made us all more resilient. We are experiencing many of the same things, I'm sure, throughout the state. And we recognize that we have to continue to be flexible and to adapt to changes so that we can make sure all of our kids are hopefully in school, learning, and of course, staying safe. Thank you.
All right, thanks for sharing that with us, Sherry. I think your experience sounds very similar to what Fresno County is going through. And as we move into the winter months now, certainly there are more indoor extracurricular activities. So I think that guidance is timely and working with our districts to help coordinate that testing and make sure districts can make sure those opportunities are still there for our students is going to be a really important thing over the next few months as we continue our journey through this pandemic.
Exactly, and things keep changing on us, right?
Yes, we have stayed very flexible. So again, thank you very much for sharing with us today.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, if you take us to the next slide, job exchange and people's choice. So on this slide, you see some of the job openings and RFQs that are posted on the CASH website. If you have an upcoming job opening or you want to get a bit broader coverage on your RFQ, please utilize that CASH Professional Opportunities job board. You can reach a much wider group of folks. I know many of us here on this call today do check that frequently, and you can log into the CASH website to post your RFP or RFQ or job opening. So take advantage of that, please. And if you could move us to the last slide. So we're still pending the final day and time of our January 22 CASH day, but please mark that on your calendar once staff gets that information emailed out to everybody. Let me just close by saying I wish everybody a very warm holiday season, however you celebrate the holidays, and looking forward to coming back rejuvenated in 2022. All right, everybody, thank you very much for joining us again today, and have a great day.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. Have a great holiday.